Something huge is brewing for the New York Knicks as we have multiple coaching updates, and now it is clear that the Knicks are very close to picking the next head coach of their team for the 2025-26 season and the seasons beyond, though multiple names are still very much in the running. And also, we do have an update on a Knicks free agency target as well, and we're going to break all that down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here. We're going to jump right into things, as always. And if you guys are part of that percentage that's not subscribed to Knicks Digest, make sure to subscribe. We got daily videos like this. We have the newest, latest, best updates on all things New York Knicks. You do not want to miss out. So what are you doing if you're not subscribed, man? But let's jump into the video. There is a lot to go over. As we have seen time and time again, Mike Brown, at least over the last 2 weeks, has looked like the favorite for this Knicks job. Even when it first came out that Tom Thibodeau was fired, Mike Brown was at the top of the favorites for that list when you looked at all the odds. Along with him were Mike Malone, who never got an interview, and Johnny Bryant, who I was informed by an inside source that James Dolan was a fan of Bryant and did want to bring Johnny Bryant in for this team. However, that did not happen, and Bryant hasn't interviewed, meaning Johnny Bryant is not going to end up getting this job. However, Mike Brown was interviewed. In fact, he was interviewed twice in a recent update, and we're going to jump into that right now. As it was revealed by Ian Begley, Mike Brown's second interview with the Knicks is today. Sources familiar with the process tell us and why. And that interview's over now. There's a possibility that other head coaching candidates may come in for second interviews. Brown garnered support in the first interview. His interview today did include James Dolan, and it's common practice for a candidate to meet with team ownership in the late stages of interviews prior to the final decision being made. The Knicks have also interviewed James Barago, Taylor Jenkins, Mike Inori, and touched base with South Carolina's Don Staley, according to the school's athletic director. Now, on top of that, Stephen Bondi did mention that Mike Brown is the only, and he's obviously the first coach, to get a second interview that kind of gives you an indication on where their priorities lay, that this guy is in their focus. So obviously a huge update there that it does seem once again like Mike Brown is going to be the next head coach of the New York Knicks. Look, we've seen this for a bit now that Mike Brown looks like the guy. The Knicks have clearly liked what they've seen from Mike Brown in multiple years now. They interviewed him back in 2020, and they really liked his interview. He apparently had a great interview back then as well. So clearly, Mike Brown is doing a lot right here. But on top of that, there are still other interviews that are taking place. The Knicks are not done doing their interviews. They're not done doing their due diligence, and they're not just going to hire Mike Brown because they feel the pressure of free agency happening. What we do know about the Knicks is that they have included talking about the head coaching search with their free agents. And the Knicks signed two marquee bench free agents for this team, Jordan Clarkson and Gershon Yabusele, two excellent bench pieces to bring on. The Knicks bench looks completely revamped and way better than it did last season, and that's really exciting, especially because obviously whoever they hire as the head coach is going to play the bench more minutes than Tom Thibodeau did. I mean, they signed Jordan Clarkson, who put up more points per game alone than the entire Knicks bench did last season, so they're going to look a lot different. There's going to be a lot higher minutes for that bench unit, no matter who the head coach is. But it does seem like Mike Brown is the favorite right now, and like it's his job to lose. Now, again, yes, other interviews are going to take place, and there are going to be other people involved in the running. For instance, we are going to see James Barago still be in the running for that head coaching job. We are going to see Taylor Jenkins still in the running for that head coaching job. There's other people still here that very much can become the next head coach of the Knicks, but right now it feels like Mike Brown is going to be the option. Brown has head coached a few different teams, 3 to be specific. He was with the Cavs and then went to the Lakers for a bit. Ends up back in Cleveland for 1 year before becoming an assistant coach with the Golden State Warriors when the Cavs ultimately decided to fire Mike Brown because LeBron came back. They wanted a different guy. LeBron picked David Blatt, who lasted, a year and a half, and then Tyronn Lue came in. And then through all that process, Mike Brown was with the Golden State Warriors, winning a championship in 2017, 2018, 2019, not 2019, but he made the finals in 2019. So he was around for a while with Golden State, including for that 2022 run that they had as well. Since then, we saw Mike Brown, who won a few different championships with the Golden State Warriors, take over as the Sacramento Kings head coach, where he led them to the first playoff berth they had in 27 million years. So that was exciting. And then on top of that, he did still have them as a positive record for the next season, though they did end up missing the playoffs. And then the following year, things were going a bit poorly because the roster was not that great. And at the end of the day, what did we see? We saw Mike Brown get fired once he sort of threw De'Aaron Fox under the bus. I've said this on the channel a few times. I'm not the biggest fan of Mike Brown as a head coach, but I'm not going to hate it specifically. We look at the minutes, it would be a completely new world from what we saw with Tom Thibodeau. Domantas Sabonis led the team in minutes the year that the Kings did make a playoff run. De'Aaron Fox was second at 32, and Sabonis was at 33, and Sabonis was at 34. We saw Harrison Barnes at 32, Keegan Murray slightly under 30. You could really round it up to 30. Kevin Huerter right around where you could round up to 30 as well, and then Malik Monk at 22, 16 for Davion Mitchell. Trey Lyles got 17. Trey Lyles got 17. So we saw good minutes as well. And Terrence Davis getting 13 minutes. Chimezie Metu getting 10. Mike Brown was playing players. And this bench that the Kings have here that we're reading off is obviously worse than the Knicks bench this season. The Knicks are an NBA Finals contender, and their problem was the bench. Now we're looking at that bench unit. Let's say Mitchell Robinson's the starter, because the last example I used Josh Hart as the starter. Now, first of all, I think Deuce should be the starting shooting guard. So actually, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go this way because this is just the starting lineup I want, and I just think it makes sense for this team fit-wise. So you start Jalen Brunson and Deuce McBride in the backcourt. You have Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Karl-Anthony Towns in the frontcourt. Is it a little small? Yeah, but so are the Kings lineups, and look at the wonders that Mike Brown was able to work in that first season with the Sacramento Kings. Then we see off the bench, we see Jordan Clarkson, we see Josh Hart, Mitchell Robinson, Gershon Yabusele. You could then use Tyler Kolek in lineups. You could also go out and try to get Landry Shamet back on that minimum contract, and you have a pretty sick bench for this Knicks team. You could also use Pacome Dadier over Kolek in sets. You could do a lot with that. Or you could start Mitch, end up starting to use Ariel Huck-Porty more. You have a lot of windows on things to do here because Yabusele is going to be a very versatile player. And so is Jordan Clarkson. Yabu can play either power forward or center. Clarkson can play either point guard or shooting guard. So the Knicks have a flexible bench. If Deuce is coming off the bench, we know Deuce can play point guard or shooting guard as well. So what these guys have here is a very flexible bench that can do a lot and can be messed around with and can play a lot of minutes in a lot of different rotations because they all, outside of guys like Jalen Brunson and Mitchell Robinson, they're really the only two who are surefire locks for the rotation. And what are we seeing? We're seeing they're the two people who are deadlocked in at one position. And even Jalen Brunson, not that he would, but he could sort of do a pseudo shooting guard sort of situation where, yeah, he's undersized, but he plays very well off the ball. We saw it with Luka Doncic. He plays really, really well off the ball, shoots the ball incredibly well when he's playing as an off-ball guard. So with Clarkson being there, he will have that opportunity a bit more as well, as long as the two make a lineup together, which Mike Brown would likely be interested in doing. Now, when it comes to the Sacramento Kings, they were tossing up threes like no tomorrow. Had 37 three-point attempts with that in that year, and it's important to note that with this team, with that Sacramento Kings team, this is a few years ago, three-point shots have gone up since then, and the Knicks, with a lack of three-point shooters, were high up on that list. Now think about the Knicks when they have this lineup of Jalen Brunson, Deuce McBride, Mikal, OG, Cat, 5-out lineup. They're going to be hoisting up threes like no tomorrow, as they should be, because if you're getting Cat in one-on-one situations in the paint, that's going to be easy. You get Jalen Brunson in one-on-one ISOs and some pick and rolls or pick and pops with Cat, where three guys out there could shoot the ball, so you can't put a big man on Josh Hart and screw the whole thing up. Things are going to work swimmingly, and I really, really like the way that would work out. However, do you need Mike Brown for that? No, you really don't. And in fact, I would rather it be James Barago as the head coach. And speaking of James Barago, we do have an update in regards to him. As Ian Begley mentioned, James Barago is currently employed by the Pelicans and under contract, so there would be hurdles to adding him to a potential Mike Brown coaching staff. Also, the Knicks like Barago, and he's still viewed as a head coaching candidate at this point in the process. Same goes for Minnesota assistant Micah Nori, but Mike Brown does see Barago as an important addition on the staff, and if the Knicks deal goes through, as Mark Stein noted. So, Barago, he's viewed across the league as a coach with a strong offensive sets and creativity, and one who places an emphasis on ball movement, spacement, player movement. All three coaches mentioned above have had first interviews with the Knicks. Taylor Jenkins has as well, and as Begley said, I mentioned Barago and Nori specifically because they are the two assistant coaches who have interviewed. Didn't mean to imply that Jenkins is not a candidate. I don't know if he is or if he isn't right now. The Knicks are signaling that they could bring back other coaches they've interviewed back for a second round of interviewed. Mike Brown is the first interview, or Mike Brown's second interview did happen today, and he was the first one to get it. Now, on top of that, what we're seeing is a guy in Barago who I think deserves a second chance. He was with the Hornets. Their lineup sucked. That's not That's just not at all Barago's fault. So we shouldn't blame James Barago for any of this. I would love to see James Barago as the head coach. I think he'd be a breakout candidate. I thought he was going to be excellent with the Hornets, and he was a good coach. It's just the roster sucked, and they blamed him. So that is what it is. The Hornets got worse after they got rid of Barago, and, well, they brought back Steve Clifford again. For some reason, they keep doing that. But obviously, he's gone again. So you look at the Charlotte Hornets. I think this obviously is more on them than it's on Barago. I love Barago in this role, but Mike Brown also likes him, and the Knicks could try to poach him and have him become their associate head coach. The same thing that happened to the Knicks with the Cleveland Cavaliers when they poached Johnny Bryant for the same role. So it's very likely that something like that could happen. I wouldn't be surprised if it did, in fact. And frankly, when it comes down to it, I would rather Barago be the head coach over Mike Brown, but I would like Barago in there. The Knicks need some defensive coaches as well for Mike Brown's team because Mike Brown does have blind spots, specifically on defense, that he's not going to clean up. Now, on top of that, we also do have an update in regards to Dawn Staley. As Stephen Bondy did mention, as far as Dawn Staley goes, as CP the franchise reported about the Knicks touching base with her over the weekend, that is true, and the athletic director from South Carolina confirmed it as well. As Bondy said, I wouldn't say she's a top candidate. I don't think there was a former interview done, but they did touch base about the job. Staley's very well respected, and I have nothing against Dawn Staley. I think it'd be awesome if a woman does become a first-time NBA head coach. I think it would be sick to finally kind of break through that barrier. And, I mean, I feel like the best response to if a woman becomes the head coach is, cool. Can she coach basketball? And the answer is probably going to be yes if a team's going to hire, because they're not just going to do that for optics, especially not a Knicks team that's trying to win the NBA Finals, and just went through the ringer for firing Tom Thibodeau for that reason. Now, on top of that, this video is running long, and this is not something that I really want to talk about for a whole video, because we just don't need to. In regards to Russell Westbrook, who has been linked as a Knicks free agent target over the last 24 hours or so, we do have a very quick update on that. It's, again, this doesn't need a full video. It needs 35 seconds. As Bondy mentioned, from what I'm hearing, I would not expect the Knicks to sign Russell Westbrook, as there's no clear path to sustained playing time for him on this roster, and he's not the type to sit comfortably on the bench. Last year, Russ put up 13.3 points per game, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 1.5 steals, shot 45% from the field and 32% from 3. He did shoot 44% from 3 in the corners, but I do imagine Russ will get a role just now with the New York Knicks, and that's fine. I love Russ. It would have been cool, but they don't need him. I prefer the fit of Jordan Clarkson anyway. I do hope Russ gets a job in a very good spot for him. I hope he goes back to Denver even, just because they look good, and I want to see Russ succeed. But guys, what do you think about all this? Let me know about the coaching stuff in the comments down below. I figured the Russ stuff was really just in passing. That's why I put it at the end of this. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like it, subscribe, turn on post notification. Go eat a cider donut. Shout out to the Hudson Valley Renegades, the Yankees High A rookie ball team. Have a great day, and go Knicks. I almost said go Yankees.